Hi, it's me, Sarah, or Spike if you prefer, and this is Representational and Underpainting with Spike. Today, we're going to learn how to set up our easel and our paints, and we're going to start painting. Now, yesterday I did something that all artists should do. I asked for help. I asked a few people that I know to give me feedback on my videos so far, and I got a lot of good feedback. One of the things that was asked was what kind of paint I'm using. Now that's clearly obvious that I should have said that to you, and I didn't, and I'm sorry. I use acrylic. I use acrylic paint because I'm an impatient person. I like things to move quickly, and while many people would tell you that oil paints are to acrylic paints as butter is to margarine, and that is true, personally, I cannot wait for the butter to melt, if you will. I am far too impatient, and I was much less patient when I was 30 when I learned this 20 years ago. So what can I tell you? I love acrylic because I can move quickly and it dries fast, and I can fix my mistakes sooner, and I do make mistakes. As you'll see, it's going to be awesome. So as I said, today we're going to set up our easel, and we're going to get out our palette and set it up, and I'm going to show you how to set up your system, and then we're going to start painting. Aren't you excited? One of the other things that they told me is that I should lay out what we're going to learn before we go. So that's what I just did for you. You might be wondering why I'm wearing this amazing headband. That's because I'm going to be putting the camera in the headband so that you can see exactly what I'm looking at as I'm painting. You see, I don't have a GoPro or anything like that, clearly, as I've been picking up the camera and moving you around during our classes. And so this is the best I can do, but I feel honestly like it's pretty good, so let's just go with that. Okay, I'm gonna grab you, here we go. So this is my setup right here. This is my easel and my board that I painted black. There's my hammer, as you can see. And because I'm right-handed, I put all of my painting accessories on the right-hand side. Because if you're right-handed and you put everything on your left, then you're always kind of moving. You see how that is? You're moving across to reach your stuff, and you move a lot. And the biggest thing about painting an object is you really should be looking at the object as much as possible. You really should be looking at the object even more than you're looking at your black painted board. So as you can see, this object that I'm painting is very long, and the board is kind of narrow. So I'm going to have to, make up for that, and I'm going to make the hammer smaller than it is there, obviously. Just so I can get the effect of the hammer and still get all the details, but make sure that it can fit on my board. Okay, so here we have the palette, and as I said yesterday, I mixed up all my paints, and I used only a few colors, and I have them here in I have the burnt sienna, the ultramarine blue, the yellow, and the white. Everything that I need for this palette I have right here. And yeah, I'm gonna get started. So when you're painting, you want to get your brush wet first. And when I'm just starting painting, I use like a bigger brush to get just the broad strokes down. So this is what I do. I get a little bit of water on my brush, just a little bit. See, this is in the way. Just a little bit of water on my brush. See, I wipe it off on the edge. And then, so I'm going to start with the warmer wall first. So I just, load my brush like with a bit of paint. I don't want the paint to get all down deep in the bristles, because then it's harder to clean, and I can over time ruin my brushes. So loading the brush is actually super important. So you just want to load up the tips, and only after you have wet it down a little bit, that will create a little bit of an easier time when you are painting. Got it? Okay, I'm going to put you back. Okay, so I tried to put it in my headband, it didn't work. I tried to tape it on my chest, it didn't work. So this is what I'm going to be doing. I am just going to be holding this camera because really there's no other way for you to get a good look at what I'm doing. So first of all, I have a brush. And I am going to hold it up in front of the still life I have set up to get the angles right. That back seam is coming down with the hammer. This seam is going to intersect the hammer here, and where this seam is going to intersect with the hammer here. I also want to pay attention to the shape relationships on the surface, because that's why you choose in the beginning 1 or 2 items, because what you're really doing is capturing shape relationships. So as you can see, I have started, and I loaded my brush as I showed you, and right now I'm just using what I have to get down the basic idea of what's going on. So this is actually, this is a really good thing to show you. This is why I actually love to use rags, because with a rag you can really get the paint on as much as you want. And with a brush, I'm a little limited. I'm still going to use a brush because I'm assuming that that's what everybody at home is using. And you see, that's going on nicer. And that's going to be the warmer, that's the warmest white that's going to be on my painting. Okay, so I have that white pretty much down. I'm not gonna, so the thing about painting is that you want to bring everything up at the same time. And when I say bring everything up at the same time, you want to bring everything up to kind of an equal level of representation at once. So right now I'm just doing the roughest of outlines for my painting. Just paying attention to what's brighter, what's lighter. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I've been cleaning out my brush, and then I see there's one that's a dirty and one that's a clean, and so it is indeed clean. And then I always do this, shake it out. Just like Florence and the Machine says, shake it out. Okay, and so now I'm going to be doing the cooler white board over there. So for that, so this is the white, and this is the white with a little bit of cerulean and a little bit of this yellow in it. And I'm actually going to spray this down again because, you want to keep everything moist. And so this is the cooler white. So I'm just going to, again, load my brush like this with just the white. And I'm gonna, so as you can see, I'm, again, just getting down the basics. See, it doesn't, this is the great thing. And this is kind of also what underpainting is about. When you're just building, this painting is about building up a surface. It's not about lightly drawing something with your paintbrush on the surface. I mean, if that's your style, then yeah, do it. But when I do a representational painting, I keep in mind that the object that I'm drawing, including the background, is full of billions of molecules that are floating around energetically and creating the object that I'm looking at. And, everything, and this is why I use black as an underpainting. Everything that I talk about and everything that I use for painting is all about adding layers. Because, as I said, when I was talking about perception and the human ability to see, we see a lot more than our filters will allow us to understand. And so part of what I'm doing is building up all of the stuff underneath the surface. The things I don't understand. All the things that I don't see. Okay, so I have the basics, the two basic walls down. You know? That and that. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this. So you see this is actually, this should come down a little bit more. See? I'm already fixing things. This should come down a little more because that, see, look. And this should actually come back. So look what I'm doing. I'm putting a brush that just had that white in it in this. And that, my teacher would tell me, is a no-no. But I'm doing it. And this comes down more like this. Right? This had a little bit more. Of a dramatic. Okay, so that's kind of more really what's going on there. And you can start to see the difference here. Okay, so look at that, look at that, look at that. And so that's what it is. You're really standing in place and you are trying to determine what's going on. So now I'm going to do, yes, I'm going to do the surface here. And what I would say when I look at that is that the surface the hammer is on is in between the right wall and the left wall, right? So do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mix. Oh, this is something that any teacher would tell you not to do. But you know what? I do it. Do you want to know why I do it? Because that's the kind of painter I am. If you want to keep these separate, I say go with God, via con Dios, my friend. I'm not that person. As I said before, I'm impatient. And my teacher told me that if I want to get a different color, then I should mix it. I should not be lazy, and I should mix it with my palette knives. But the reality of my life and my situation is that I do this. And so again, this is a very basic underpainting of what's happening. This is an underpainting because I am going to be laying down many, many, many more layers of paint to get what I want to get on the surface of this black board. And do you see here how I have left these lines? Those are going to come in handy when I want to define the way this board is sitting on this surface and this board is sitting on that surface. Because when you leave the black on your underpainting in order to define a shape, the richness that comes through is quite hard to duplicate. You can't really get it if you're just drawing a black line on top of your white surface. So this is what I have. As I said, this is just my underpainting. This is what I mean when I'm talking about underpainting. Laying down the bones or the structure of a painting. And I'm pretty satisfied with that. Alright, so that, my friends, is today's lesson. I hope you got a lot out of it. I know it's longer than most. From here on out, we're just going to be painting. And I'm going to come up with something much better than just holding this. And, I mean, that might be the best way to go. I might just be holding this in my hand while I'm painting. And that might just be what we do. But for now, if you want to get started, this is how you get started. You paint the background. And on Monday, we're going to get into paint this. The next thing I do is I paint the object. All I need is the underpainting of the walls, and then I put the object in space. And that's what we're going to do Monday. if I get excited this weekend, I might shoot a video this weekend and post it, because honestly, once I have my still life up and my painting started, it's hard for me to stop because I'm impatient. So anyway, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, you can email me at young.spike@gmail.com. You can head on over to spikeofalltrades.com to check out my art. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I am at Spike of All Trades, and there's like little underscores in between the Spike of All Trades. So that's where we're at. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned, and I really hope that you will ask me questions if you have them. Power to the peaceful.